Hey guys, Steve here. Welcome to your next episode of March 4th. I wanted to do things a little bit differently and change it up. As you can see, I'm holding my phone. And the reason is because I'm going to walk around my house a little bit and kind of show you some of the practical things that I've done to do my healing process, right? So I have little notes that I put everywhere. Anytime I come up with sort of any idea that I have, or anything that makes sense to me. So this is something I heard from a guy named Gary Brecka. He says the presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. So he talks about doing breath work every day and how that can change your life. He was a guy that was in the life insurance industry for a long time. He's seen thousands of medical records, and he couldn't help the people. So now he's helping people, sharing his knowledge, and that's one of the things. His team could predict somebody's date of death within a month once they had their medical records and certain information. And if he says the presence of oxygen is the absence of disease, well, that's why I'm starting to learn breath work, little things that show up. Create your own version of love, safety, and belonging, right? You get to create your own version of stuff and what it means to you. Get clear on what you're hoping to experience and motivate yourself there, right? There's a lot of what I'm doing lately that is about customizing my own healing in my life to be what I want it to be. Hold yourself accountable to feeling what you want, and you get to be discernible about what's actually going to give me the feelings, right? Give me the feelings I want. If I don't hold myself accountable through my choices, then I don't get to choose how I feel. So if I want to choose how I feel, then I have to hold myself accountable to my choices. I have to be more disciplined in my life. Little reminders like that. My favorite magnet from my dad, never, never, never give up. Right? I always have that on the fridge. Even when I, bought my house, I put in, I am home. I am ready. I trust me. Different things that I had to kind of teach myself, right? Me owning my own home by myself was a big deal. It was a big change, and I wasn't sure I could do it. So I had to really program the thing hey, I am home and I am ready. If you want to make changes in your life on your teeth, this little thing, here. What feelings do I want to create around my teeth? Do I want to feel good about them? Do I not want to feel good? Using stuff like this, because sure, you can say in general, hey, I want to brush you should brush your teeth twice a day. Everybody needs to do it. If you're like me and you got an ADHD brain, you don't literally always remember stuff like this. And that's my favorite sign. I just want to share that. And you're going to have a sense of humor in life, too. What feelings do I want to create around my job? What feelings do I want to create around my home? What feelings do I want to create around my relationship? There's all sorts of different stuff you can do and different ways you can do it. This is my vision board that I created some years ago. There's a lot of stuff on it. And you know what? A lot of it's already come true. But I've got it, hung right above my bed right now, kind of as a reminder. I did have some tapestries up there, but I took them down when I did the expo. But little things, right? Someday I'm going to be able to teleport, and I'm going to be able to levitate. And I think that was the only really interesting stuff that hasn't happened yet. But a lot of this has already happened, right? I am creating a legacy of light in my life. My kids are attuned to Reiki, right? I have a community. I am paying off my debts. I have gratitude and abundance, right? I have a property. I kind of am in a tiny home, another idea, right? Trying to keep my ADHD brain in check by okay, these are the chores I need to do every day. I have found that I have an easier time prepping my food when I clean up the sink after I've cooked, not like the next day, because the next day I only clean the dish I need and then they pile up, right? Little things like that. You know, what should I do every week? What should I do bi-weekly? Some of my big goals, I want to buy another Toyota Tacoma. I missed that truck. I loved it, right? Some of the stuff, you know, I'm missing out on. Some of the stuff I've done, some of the projects, and just like different things. Like for me, purging stuff was like it was difficult, right? Because I held on to stuff I talked about in one of the other videos. I held on to stuff out of lack because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to replace it. Well, there's a woman on YouTube that talks about, you know, purging and like, all right, first get rid of the trash and then put stuff away if it has a place. She's like, don't take everything out. She's like, go to where you have the clutter and pick one item at a time and go through it. Because then if you pull everything out, you now have this massive, overwhelming project, right? Focus on one area at a time. Take frequent breaks. You know, good for an ADHD brain. These are some of the things that I do. I don't know if I have anything else. No, not yet. That like to support myself through this process. And I don't really care how it looks, right? Because it's about wanting to get better. This is, if you have a creative mind, it could look interesting, but like I was trying to think about some of the things I wanted to shift and what areas to shift them in, right? Financial motivation, long-term savings, physical health, fitness motivation, clean eating, business motivation, eventually becoming self-employed, dad motivated, right? Being more loving and accountable and, you know, gently disciplining the kids, being more motivated in my home for cleanliness and decluttering. And then so like I use Psych-K to create some belief statements and find where the blockage is, you know, like it is easy for me to be disciplined with money. I program that belief and actually it's been showing up. I allow the flow of financial abundance to come to me. I program that belief into my subconscious mind and it's been showing up. The home stuff. It is safe for me to have a clean home, right? Because a lot of my clutter was a result of wanting to feel the density like a weighted blanket. So I held on to that, right? It is safe for me to have a clean, open, safe home. Even just like the way I take notes, right? I just dump my brain, you know, things I have to do, things I have to consider that I don't want to do, right? Maybe I don't want to get a second job if I don't have to. Or maybe like this energy thing can be my second job again. I do readings with cards and I just channel stuff and different things come through. I lay out all my bills as they come out. I do a lot of graphics like this. So like if you are starting the process of, taking notes and thinking about the things you want to change, like there's no wrong way to do it. As you can see, I do things very differently on many pages. This was a cool thing because goals for me seemed unattainable, right? Goal is something that like, the goal is it's all the way at the end of the field. Like how do I, in soccer, I was not the guy that typically scored the goals, right? So that's what I changed. I changed the context of it. Where do I want to score, right? Because I remember I was either a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and I played soccer for the JV team in the high school. And my dad was coaching a recreational team, like 15-year-olds. And I was on the roster, right? So I went back and played after having played with all these high school kids. And I remember like just weaving myself through the entire field to score a goal. Like it was the first time I was ever the best player on the field. And I remember how that felt. Like it was really cool. And that's the context and the energy that I bring to this. Like, because anybody, like I've seen goalies score, right? So anybody can score. So where do I want to score, right? Health, I'd like to lose 30 to 40 pounds. And even some of the notes I took about like, Steve would like to be able to pay all of his bills. So like putting stuff in third person is something I'm trying. I try, like if you do things the way you've always done them, you're going to get the things you've always gotten. So I'm not afraid to try new ideas, right? Not goal, seed is scoring. Start immediately, right? That's the big thing for me. I am an overanalyzer, an overthinker, an overplanner. As you can tell, right? I'm good at planning stuff. And a lot of the struggle for me has been like just not starting, because I come up with the whole plan and then I get overwhelmed and I shut down, right? Is that some of you may have that pattern? So like sometimes I'll get in on the stuff and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to just point and like, okay, I guess I'm going outdoors to do lights, or I'm going to change locks, or, like you have to make it random sometimes. And just like the feeling of accomplishment, if you can bring that vibration in to do stuff, it makes a difference, right? Third person, like there's different stuff. Make things attainable, right? Don't get stuck in perfectionism. That's a big thing for me. Like if you are starting this March 4th process and any sort of change process in your life, start where you're at and make it as easy as you can so that you can start to build upon your successes. Random drawings. I don't even know what the hell that was. Back again to the chores, like daily, weekly, yearly things to do. What was another one I wanted to share? And even this, right? So this kind of goes with what I was talking about in yesterday's video. What are the things that, like, what do I wish could be 100% committed to no matter what? What do I wish I could be 100% committed to no matter what? And the next section was what can help me get there, right? And then the other section that I haven't done yet is like, what's a good first step realistically, right? So what do I wish I could be 100% committed to? 100% gluten-free, dairy-free. Intermittent fasting every day, almost every day. Getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep is huge, right? Having the house completely clean. Holding the kids and myself fully accountable. Like, I'm a sucker, right? I love nurturing the kids. I love taking care of them. I love cooking for them, but I do too much. Not spending any extra money, right? And so breaking that stuff down, like, okay, what can help me get there, right? Like, what are the things that can support me? Use free time to work on my business instead of watching TV or the phone, right? What can help me get there? Unplug the TV, put the phone away in the same spot. Doing different things like that. What would be a good first step? Well, actually putting the phone down or actually unplugging the TV. And then, like from there, having a plan to do what I need to do. And as I get a little out of breath from talking bent over, I have notebooks and notebooks. I have notebooks like everywhere. I have whiteboards. I have more notebooks. I got a lot of stuff. But I use that stuff, right? I have arts and craft supplies. I have, they're not in here, but those are certificates. I have like 5 million Post-it notes all over the place of different colors that I use to organize things. I have a ton of books and like all my card decks that I do readings with, crystals, more books, like things that I actually use, right? Primal Blueprint is a paleo book. The guy talks about the paleo diet. I've got the cookbook. I've got 2 of the same cookbook. I don't know how that happened. Jack Canfield, The Success Principles. He's the guy that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? Different stuff. Like, start where you're at. use what you've got, right? You don't need to go out and buy a planner or a whiteboard. If you have paper, like you can get a notebook pretty cheap, a couple of bucks at Walmart. Most people have pens and paper. Like, start with your kids' construction paper. Start where you're at, right? I have, actually, I'll go back to it. I'll show you. Like, I had all these projects that I was going to do when I bought this house, right? And if you look in the top of my closet, I have a new kitchen faucet. I have a new bathroom faucet. And here there's new locks and deadbolts for the doors. I have a, where did I put that? I don't know. Well, you're seeing all my junk, but whatever. Oh yeah, and this thing here is a water filtration system, right? All these projects that I'm going to do. Some of the projects I get done, right? I built this thing. The guy that owned my house before was paranoid about pipes freezing, so he put the pressure tank where the dryer should be. So I had to get a stackable washer and dryer. So I built this little shelf, and I got to organize it more. I found some baskets that can fit on here to make it look cleaner. But like using what I have, right? I bought a little bit of wood. It's not expensive wood. I had the shelving unit. This was in my massage studio, and it fit right on top, right? And eventually, like, there will be a curtain here, and there will be, it'll look all nice and organized. But for now, it's functional. It works. You do the best you can with what you got. And just sometimes all you could do is show up, right? So in this process of healing, as I've showed you some of my stuff, right? So I have, I'll show you this. I essentially live, right? So this is, these are bunk beds that I converted into as my son's bed up top, and underneath is like a play area, although storing some junk. And then I built a entertainment center into it. Now my son is not too stable on his feet. He doesn't do ladders, so I built stairs, right, with some pipes, and it's nice and sturdy, and he feels safe. And I got a little tapestry up there, and he's got some tiki lights. I just did the best I could with what I had. Underneath, this is a cube unit you get from like Walmart, where he's got all his clothes. The carpet that you saw came from my mom's camper that she sold. You do the best you can with what you got. So am I the definition of success, right? If you watch this video and you look around this guy's house and like, this guy lives in a mobile home. He's, got all these unfinished projects, and I don't see that. I see where I came from. I see this guy who woke up every day for 30 years hating himself, who now loves himself. And now, prioritize, right? Clean house, paying off all your debts, hating yourself, right? What the fuck do you think I should work on first? Loving myself. Because if I don't love myself, I don't have any energy for anything else, right? If I don't know how to put myself first, I can't do anything else. I don't have anything to give to anybody else. But now, as I have done a lot of work, and I've fallen in love with myself, and I've done the best I could with what I had, and I made it work, right? Now I have stuff to share. And is it perfect? No. Like, should I wait till I, get a haircut and I lose 50 pounds and my house is perfect before I start doing this work to share the message? No. Because what I've learned is I get a lot more out of teaching and sharing than I do, like, the actual, like, healing, right? I gifted somebody the rights recently, all 9 rights over about 7 months, and I got way more energy than she did. Right? The changes that I made in my life as a result of doing that process, I got more out of the lessons, I think. She got her ass kicked a couple of times, and it was really interesting, but, so did I. Things showed up for me. When I have a Reiki student, or I do a coaching session, or any of that stuff, right? I get so much out of it. I had a client come to my house, was it this week? I don't even know. No, it was last week. And I got so much out of it. Like, he felt validated, but like so did I, right? All this work that I've done, it's valuable. And so that's kind of a glimpse into my imperfection, right? Of like, you do the best you can with what you got. You start where you're at, right? You just, the notes don't have to be perfect. You don't have to write rough drafts. I scribble shit out all the time, right? Even like my notes of, right, the daily energy stuff, right? Different things, lunar eclipse, different topics, that I've come up with, things that I'm thinking about. This is my setup that holds my phone, right? It's perfect. and I have a whiteboard that has more topics, and I have other lists of stuff that I brainstormed in my notebook, the green notebook you saw. It has lists, just topics of stuff that I could talk about for hours, like this. But like, really pay attention to what I'm sharing and like the energy behind it. Like, I'm being authentic, right? Is there a little bit of anxiety that like, oh, there may be somebody that judges me? Sure, of course, it's always going to be there, right? I fully expect it to maybe show up sometimes because it was so present through so much of my life. But the difference is I've decided that stuff doesn't own me anymore, right? And then it's just a feeling that will pass eventually. Just like everything else passes eventually. Like you eat corn, you see it pass eventually. Stuff moves through your life. It moves on. Nothing is permanent. The only thing that is permanent is change. Like, even from the time that I started this video to now, almost 22 minutes in, there's been trillions of electrons that have moved from my body to different parts of the house some of them may be across the state by now, right? Change is something that happens all the time, all day, every day. It's something we can't stop. So you might as well just go with the flow, right? Change the things that you want to change. Create the intentions in your life and step into the person and the way of being that you want. And that's pretty much all I got. Like, use what you can, what you have. It doesn't have to be crazy, right? I have, my front porch is one of those, I'm showing you everything else. I might as well show you this too, right? My front porch is one of those porches that comes with a mobile home. And it's like fiberglass, right? So one of the stairs was pretty not sturdy. So you can see the screws, right? So I reinforced it. And then I bought this like skateboard tape, although a lot of it's come off through wear and tear because it's gone through 2 winters. But because this thing gets really slippery when it's wet. But like, I've gotten through 2 winters of using this porch safely. It served its purpose. Like, would it have been nice to build a deck? Yeah. Did I have the resources? I could have put it on a credit card, but that's not the responsible thing to do, right? Is it weird to have that and people come over? I was self-conscious at first, but now it's no, whatever, man. I know that I'm doing the best I can with what I got. And it's good enough, right? You got to decide that some things in your life are good enough. And if you can feel like enough things are good enough and there are other things that still have a charge, maybe that follow the charge. Maybe those are the things that you need to change. I don't have any open wounds anymore, right? When I first came into healing and through most of my healing journey, even coming up to the last few years, I had a lot of open wounds, stuff that I just never, it just festered in my life and it showed up in different areas. And for the first time in my life, I'm closing those wounds and I'm healing them from the inside out. That's a big lesson right there. I don't know if I can hold the phone and show you. Years ago, instead of Christmas presents, my mom and stepdad took us on a cruise to Bermuda. So the week before I had gone to visit a buddy of mine in North Carolina, we went down to Cape Fear on the beach, and because I was a big macho New Englander, I didn't wear sunscreen, and I thought, oh, it'll be fine. And I got a 2nd-degree sunburn. And somewhere along the line, that sunburn got infected with MRSA. So I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. You can see the scar there. I had a hole in my shoulder like that big. And so we went on the cruise, and I started seeing these, abscess pop up. It looked like I had gunshot wounds on my back. So when we got back from the cruise, I saw the doctor, and it was kind of cool. He squirted it, and it went all over the place. I thought it was funny. I'm a little twisted. I'm sure you figured that out by now. But so I remember going in, okay, we're going to do like a day surgery, come in, we're going to cut away the infected tissue, and we'll fill and clean and pack your wounds, and we'll get you on some antibiotics. It took me a couple of years to get rid of it because it was a MRSA staph infection, and I was storing it in my sinuses. But eventually it was fine. But so what they did was they cut away the infected tissue, and let me see if I can draw a picture of it. So this is my shoulder up to my neck. And essentially what they did is they cut away the infected tissue. They had to, because if they had closed it, right, and sewed it, you still have this pocket here. So what they did is they cut away the infected tissue, and I had to clean and pack it every day. And eventually, it filled itself in with new skin and new growth as I cleaned and packed it. And all of them did that, right? And that's what a lot of my healing has had to be, right? There's a pile of stuff on this massive bean, right? Everything's a work in progress. It's all good. That's what a lot of my wounds were, right? I didn't know that you couldn't just cover them over and sew them shut because it's still festered underneath. I had to let them be open for a long time so that I could heal them from the inside out, right? Heal them from the bottom up. Recently went through something that I call unhealing, right? So I'll give you an example that I think is better than my example, my personal example. My Reiki master was doing chakra illuminations for people, and we had someone come in who had their root chakra done. Now, empaths are born out of trauma, right? So when you have a traumatic experience when you're younger, you learn how to push your energy field out and use it like a radar. The problem is it thins your field. But when you operate that way for a long time, especially from a place of survival, that gift, that empathy gets rooted through your root chakra. And so this woman came and had her root chakra cleared, and it screwed with her gifts. She didn't know how to use them anymore. It almost, I don't know if it shut some of them off or, but it was messed with her, right? And I went through a similar process where I wasn't connecting with my intuition, and I wasn't connecting with stuff. I was going I already learned this. Why am I going through this again? And I had to surrender and let myself just have an open wound, and I sat with it, right? I allowed myself to emotionally eat. I put on, probably 40 pounds. But being able to sit with that stuff and fall in love with the parts of myself I didn't like, and allow my gifts to really let the deep stuff get released, and allow myself to heal from the inside out, it made such a huge difference to the point where I'm doing this stuff now. And this feels comfortable and natural, and it feels like it's time for me to share. And I have so much evidence in my life of things being just showing me I'm going in the right direction. And I don't know what this will turn into, right? Maybe it's just some dude on YouTube and I find something else. Maybe I do a friggin' TED Talk. I don't know. Maybe I'll become a full-time healer and coach doing programs and stuff. I'm not attached to what it needs to look like. All I know is right here, right now, in this moment, this is what I'm feeling. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm showing up to this moment and going with the flow. So if you're on your healing journey and you've started this process of March 4th, just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself an opportunity to not have to get it perfect. Give yourself an opportunity to just, like open up to ideas of like what could possibly change, right? And use that as like a form of surrender. Like, where do you want to, just surrender to the process and see where spirit leads you. Ask the universe for help, or your God, or whoever you worship. If you worship anything, if you don't worship anything, that's okay too. Like, I've heard of, when I did the 12-step thing, they talk a lot about like a God of your understanding. And I used to hear a lot of people talk about, they're like, there's an atheist dude, he's like, I pray to so-and-so's God, because I don't have one, but he prays a lot, and it seems to work for him, so I pray to his God, even though I don't believe in it. And he's like, stuff happens, like it works, right? The whole concept of like, if you don't believe, that's okay, believe that I believe. Use what you got, right? Even if it's somebody else's. I'd recommend with permission and not stealing, but do the best you can with what you got. And sometimes all you can do is show up, right? But get some of this stuff down on pen and paper. Start dumping your brain. Start letting it go, and then take a step back. Like, dump it on the pen and paper, and take a step back, right? And then like just go away, do something else, distract yourself. Come back later and look at it again and see if it looks differently, or see if things showed up in your life. Like, oh, you were talking about healing this, and you wrote it down, and all of a sudden you feel better about it. Like, stuff like that happens. So today's video is about using what you got. Just take a step, right, towards what you want. Thinking about like, what's possible. And in some of the videos coming up, I'm going to share some technologies of how to get more specific of creating results in your life. If you want like a more Virgo organized approach, I have some good technology that I've learned to use that with. We have to talk about SMART goals and CPRs. But there's so much. Even on YouTube, there's so much. There's 5 million different ways to do everything. There's really no excuses not to heal and change and grow anymore. So, once again, if you need support, reach out. I'm happy to help. And I look forward to catching you on the next one. Peace.